Hello everybody and welcome to my next episode of Get a Life Moments with myself, Lisa Davies, and today I am joined by, well, an ex-dragon, the amazing woman who started Red Letter Days, who has evolved over the years to become, well, just that, an evolutionary thought leader. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Rachel Elnaugh with me today. Hi Rachel.
Hi Lisa, thank you for inviting me on.
You're very welcome. I know people are just going to be so inspired by what you have to say today. I have absolutely no doubt. For those people who maybe been living under a rock somewhere and don't know very much about you, who is Rachel Elnaugh?
Wow, I mean, it's like I've gone through so many phases in my life, but I guess I'm most famous as the entrepreneur who created the experiences company Red Letter Days, which I started when I was 24. And I grew it into a multi-million turnover market-leading brand, which is what got me on Dragon's Den. So I was a dragon on the first two series, which was an amazing experience, which of course opened up a whole new world for me as a sort of celebrity entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that night I became a speaker, and at every event people would come up asking for my help with their business. So I became a business mentor. I created a whole lot of sort of online programs to help people, and workshops and training products basically to help people on their business journey, which kind of led me on a journey of discovery about what makes someone successful and another person not. I started to get very interested in that, which is what really opened the whole world of, first it started with sort of mindset, Tony Robbins sort of mindset stuff, and then it evolved into more Esther Hicks law of attraction. And now I'm much more into the world of kind of healing, trauma healing. I've done a lot of medicine, plant medicine work, shamanic work, ayahuasca in particular, which has been a very fascinating journey. So it's been an incredible journey of discovery. But I would say as an entrepreneur, I'm much more now about conscious capitalism.
Yeah.
You know, how can we be on this planet in harmony with Gaia rather than destroying it? So I am an advocate of conscious capitalism and unplugging from the old programs. Yeah,
That's really, it is so interesting, isn't it? Because I guess at the start of your journey, you were kind of, as the late great Dr. Wayne Dyer would have said, you were in the morning of your life, all about ambition. And you really have, it would appear, moved into the afternoon of your life, and that can happen at any time in your life, into that meaning phase. So how has that changed the way that you are an entrepreneur, a thought leader, how you mentor other business people?
Well, one of the interesting things about training in trauma healing skills, I've done a professional training program and I'm still in the course of that training. It helped me to understand that when people have money problems and business problems, there's usually some underlying childhood developmental trauma which hasn't been cleared. And so quite often a person's relationship with money or their business is showing them all of their demons and everything that needs to be cleared. And so understanding trauma, which is a very wide term, because most people, if you talk about trauma, they say, oh, I don't have any trauma, but most trauma is developmental. It's very subtle. It's like a drip, drip, drip over many years. It's not like a big shock trauma like sexual abuse or being beaten up by your father or something.
Yeah.
So many people are subconsciously running those programs, and so helping them to shine light on them and bring them into conscious awareness, that helps to alchemize, because once you can see it, then it loses its power. It's when it's operating in the subconscious, that's when, and it's running the show. And yes, it's very fascinating. It's added a real depth to my ability to help people unblock their blocks to flow, basically.
And as you go through training like that, being a therapist of many years myself, I know that you are doing so much work, so much healing on your own stuff. So, and also, you know, I know that you've been out to the jungle and stuff like that with the plant medicine. How has that shifted and changed you as a person, that experience?
Well, I think that doing ayahuasca and plant medicine in particular really helps you to understand, to see beyond the veil, this illusion of duality, and it teaches you how it works. Because the business that I co-created in 2013 is called Source. So every time I would go to the medicine, I would say to the medicine, show me how to make Source work, meaning show me how to make my business work. And what the medicine showed me is how Source works, how Source energy manifests in this material realm. And so it's been very fascinating, because it's been like a masterclass training program in how the illusion works. And it is a hall of mirrors. And so understanding that everything you manifest on the screen of your life is in some way a reflection of yourself. And so starting to get interested in what's showing up, especially things that trigger us. Yeah, that is really key, because most people tend to move, you know, obviously they move towards pleasure and move away from pain. But it's those things that give us the most pain that trigger the most strong reaction, that are often the most benevolent gift. Yes. If we can be open enough to receiving them, as opposed to fighting and or flighting, you know.
Yes, absolutely. So absolutely.
It has affected my way that I view the world, and how it's helped me to move out of the overwhelming desire to try and fix externals and try and change other people, because you just keep coming back to yourself, like, how did I manifest this, and what inner shift do I need to make to radically transform my externals? Yeah. So that is the place to look. It's so tempting to try and fix the externals. Yeah, so it's been, yes, I agree. When you learn about trauma healing skills, it's not about trying to fix other people. It's an inner journey of healing and discovery and transformation.
And that's, I mean, at a really simple level, when you change, everything around you changes, because everything outside is a mirror of what's going on and where it's showing up in yourself. So when you change, everything has to change.
And that's the thing, is just, you know, if it's showing up in your life, it's your responsibility. And so you can tell. And this is the thing, because this subconscious trauma is not in your conscious awareness. So it's what's manifesting, which are the big clues as to, you know, the same thing keeps showing up. And quite often, if you ignore it, it gets bigger and louder and bigger and louder, especially if you try and get rid of those things. You just come back with a different mask on, even bigger, even uglier, even louder, until you can't ignore them, and you have to do the inner work. And when you get to that place where you can actually move into gratitude, thank you so much for showing up and showing me that thing that I couldn't see for myself. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is, I mean, that's the essence of Ho'oponopono.
Yes,
and
yes,
that ability to move from fight into gratitude. But it can't be faked. You have to really get it. You have to really land it. And plant medicine really helps you to do that, because it shows you, very often it shows you exactly what's blocking you, whatever your intention is. Intentions are very powerful. When you set an intention, the universe starts showing you what is blocking the flow of that intention coming to you. So it will show you everything that you need to transmute and heal.
Talking about intention, just before we came on air, I was remarking on what a beautiful home you have manifested. So is that part of the intent, the work that you've done in order to invite that into your life?
Absolutely. And this house, the seed for this house was really planted. Well, it's planted a long time ago, but the intention works in phases and stages, because homes are very important to me. I mean, I've trained in feng shui, and I know the power and influence of homes. And back in February, March time, I went to Peru just before the lockdown. I just got in under the wire because you can't really go to Peru now. I've just managed to get that trip in before everything closed down. And I was in the jungle. I was at Sipapu with Davina McHale, who's one of my shamanic teachers.
Yeah.
And when you do plant medicine in the home of the medicine, which is in the Peruvian jungle or the Amazonian jungle, its power is amplified exponentially.
Yeah.
And I was just about to go through a whole divorce court thing, quite an acrimonious thing, which had been a source of stress for quite a few years. And I'd had to take it all the way to court to get it resolved. And I was just about to go to this court thing. And so my intention to the medicine was, I want to create peace. I want to create peace in my life and for my family. And immediately when I went into the medicine, it immediately took me into war. First of all, it took me into World War II, English and German troops. And it took me on a nightmare journey into the labyrinth. But what I realized afterwards was that if you're asking for peace, you need to clear every last piece of anger, conflict, anything blocking that. And so it plunged me on the most, not only the most extreme medicine journeys when I was in the jungle, to the point where the last ceremony, I was too frightened to take the medicine.
Right.
And it took me probably an hour to calm my nervous system before I could actually take it. And even then I only had the tiniest bit because I was terrified. And actually what then happened was that life showed me what was in that last cup. And I wish I'd drunk the whole cup, because I would have been able to deal with it in that ceremony and clear this deep level that I had to clear out to create peace. But actually, because I didn't drink the cup, it's like the medicine said, okay, you're not going to do the work here right now. You're too frightened. So we're going to have to show you in real life, in the waking dream. And it took me on a nightmare journey, an absolute nightmare journey. But what's manifested out of it, and I had to dig so deep to get to these very deep levels of fear, rage, injustice, deep stuff from my childhood. But when I went there and I faced those demons and I transmuted it, boom, I manifested this house. And this house is an ancient house on the Haddon estate, which are very difficult to come by. It was built in 1652, a dragon year, a water dragon, and I'm a dragon. And it's built to exact sacred geometry, and it's in the most perfect harmonic resonance setting of Gaia by the river. Its water is living water from a natural spring. And I get that this was my reward for having done the deep clearing, because it manifested in such a magical way. And I'd been setting lots of intentions about creating a new home. And it was perfectly newly renovated. And plus I had the resources to be able to completely furnish it from new, because I'd given all of my furniture away to Davina when when I moved out of my bigger houses. So this house, so this is a bit of a long-winded answer to your question, but this house is testimony, because it's such a perfect harmonic resonance. It's a feng shui. That's the idea of feng shui, is that your home is a mirror to your inner resonance. So the fact that I manifested this proved to me that I had done the deep inner work, because it's a mirror to how clear I feel inside, having been able to manifest this. So.
And you know, just as you're sitting there, there's an energetic glow around you and the home. It just, even through the power of Zoom, you can feel that you're kind of just being in that space. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, this home and the setting is the kind of place you get to in plant medicine when you've gone through the labyrinth, faced the demons, and you burst through into the light.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they do ayahuasca they're light coming out of darkness, and that shows you're still in the labyrinth when you're seeing neon stuff, and it's against black and darkness. But when you burst through into the light, everything becomes, it's kind of colors out of white, and that's how you tell that you've moved through the veil.
Yeah.
And so this in the waking dream is very similar to the place that you get to when you've burst out of the labyrinth. So it's wonderful because and when I go back into the cities, it's like going back into the labyrinth. It's really interesting.
I completely understand that. I've not done plant medicine myself, but I completely understand that. I mean, I live in a very rural place, it's very peaceful, and even at just a very simple level, if I go into the cities, the energy it's really disturbing to me. It's really disturbing to me.
It's dissonant. To put it into simple terms, this is resonant. This is in harmonic resonance, and cities are in dissonance. So it's a bit like a guitar playing off key or something. And the cities are designed to be dissonant because when people are not in harmonic resonance, they're moved out of their power and they're easy to control.
Absolutely.
So you can see, I mean, this is one of the things that I really get, that the powers that be, the patriarchal powers that be, it's all based on masonry and secret societies who absolutely know the metaphysical laws.
Yes.
And they have used them for dark purposes, for power and control over. And so cities are very deliberately designed to keep people out of their power and in dissonance. And that's why there's so much, adrenaline response, road rage, addiction, people needing coffee all the time. I mean, I have the occasional cup of coffee, but it's not that kind of addictive, driven, when you go that fast driven, adrenaline fueled. Most people who live in cities are permanently in the adrenaline response.
So it's so interesting. It's so interesting. Very rare that I visit London these days, but if I do, I'm sort of the country bumpkin who is in absolute joy on the tube and everybody else looks miserable and stressed out. So even at a really simple level, you can spot it. But it's really interesting that you should say that, because I understand that there's a huge surge in the property market to move out of the cities since lockdown. That everybody is wanting to move out of the cities into the countryside, which is really interesting. So even people that don't understand the energetic and metaphysical part of it, at some level, they're feeling it. At some level, they are picking up on it. So what a journey, what a massive journey you have been on, from the age of 24 as a budding entrepreneur, right the way to where you are now as an evolutionary thought leader. What's next? What are your aspirations for yourself, for the world? What's next, Rachel?
Well, excuse me a sec. I do feel, I mean, having lived most of my life in that place of ambition and career and vision boards and dreaming and that insane kind of definite chief aim statements, and I am much more in a place these days of just really fully being in the present moment and being in that place of the power of now, the Eckhart Tolle power of now, and really being in gratitude for, I mean, I kind of feel in a way I've arrived, actually.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're there, wherever there is.
So in terms of when I sort of think of what would I love to manifest next, I mean, I've kind of manifested such a beautiful home, and so it's kind of, it's like it is enough. It's not like there's anything huge that I would love to so what I'm trying to get to is that I'm understanding the power of being in the now moment rather than being in this place of the future, which is essentially an expression of lack and satisfaction in the current moment. So it's kind of like all this and more and more and more.
Yeah.
So I mean, so there are still things that trigger me. And so those are the places where I'm most interested in, because I really get that the more I can clear on the inner planes, the more harmonic everything is on the external planes. So the places that I guess my biggest intention is to clear every last place of dissonance, every last place of inner trauma, every last trigger, and this is the interesting thing about living in harmonic resonance. It's a bit like being it's a tuning fork. So it's, as you live in harmonic resonance, or the more you live in harmonic resonance and peace and joy and harmony, the easier it is to notice when you've been pulled out of tune and there's a bum note. So when I get those bum notes, it's like, whoa, what's just triggered me, and what haven't I quite yet cleared? So this is like the fine detail work. Because I just know the more that I clear on the inner planes, the better it gets on the external planes, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So before we finish today, as I ask with all of my guests, if you could give the listeners and the viewers just one tip, what would be your top tip for life?
Well, it's the thing that I'm currently saying to my sons a lot, who are in that place of school and what are we going to do next, and university and and careers, and it's so much uncertainty for everyone out there. And I would just really say, do what you love, really follow your heart, and absolutely trust that if you follow your heart and you do live your passion and do what you love, that the universe will send all the resources and people and opportunities and money, and everything that you need will flow in behind that following and doing what you love. Because I still see so many people, and I mentor so many people who are doing things because they feel they should, because they're legacy things that they feel they were good at or they were trained at, and they can't throw away that training even though they hate it, or running businesses that no longer bring them joy. So be bold and be prepared to let go of anything in your life that doesn't bring you joy and that you're doing that feels like a chore, because when things have got a heavy energy, they are not going to be attractive.
No.
So the more that you do things you love, the more attractive you become, and the more you magnetize amazing things and people and opportunities and invitations and abundance in all sorts of forms. So that would be my number one top tip, is follow your heart and do what you love.
Absolutely perfect. Couldn't have put it better myself. I always say, do what makes your heart sing and spirit soar. Nothing else. Yeah, I completely with you on that. Thank you so much for your time today, Rachel. It's been, wonderful sharing in your journey. And I just know that those people that watch and listen will be inspired by your experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Lots of love. Have a great day.
Thank you.